Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. I hope you guys are having a great day. I feel like we all need to take a deep breath before we dive into today's video. Let me make sure my mic is good. All right, cool. We are good. Hello. Yes, if you are just coming in, if you would like the stream, that would be amazing. If you're brand new to my channel, my name is Erin Bees. I am a wife, a mom, a military veteran. I spent 13 and a half years in multi-level marketing, healed my way out, and now I'm using all of my social media platforms to educate and raise awareness around the dangers of multi-level marketing companies and the tactics used by their reps. Today's going to be a rough one. I just want to prepare everybody for that. Content warning, spiritual manipulation, emotional manipulation, financially benefiting off of the death of a public figure. Yeah. So, yeah. But this is something that I definitely want to talk about. And just like the stream where I covered Eric Worre's tribute video, I will also be donating the AdSense from this video to the Colon Cancer Coalition. I have linked it. There should be a button that says fundraiser. If you are willing and able to donate, that goes directly to them. The last I checked last time, I believe we raised $1,300. That doesn't include the AdSense from the video. So I will update that at the end of the month once everything processes on the back end of YouTube. So if you contributed last time financially, if you were able to, that's awesome. Please don't feel like you have to, and let me explain why. Just you watching, commenting, interacting, if you are comfortable sharing, all of those things will definitely help, because I'm going to donate, again, the AdSense from this video. It's the only way that I felt comfortable talking about some of this stuff. And the events after Jessie Lee's passing, I think that there's some really problematic behaviors, and this was the only way that I felt comfortable talking about it on my YouTube channel. So yeah, also we're definitely going to have some fun, because I'm going to need moments of fun as well as you guys. So, yeah. Speaking of fun, we have a new member, and Michelle, so glad that you joined. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And yeah, this is for you. Welcome, Michelle. Thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate you so much. And yeah, so as long as everybody is prepared for this one, I'm pretty sure that Kia's World covered it, but I also have some things that I would like to say. So yeah, brace yourselves. Okay, let me run the disclaimer real quick, and I'll be right back. All right, now that the disclaimer is done, let me get the setup that I want. I think I want to do this one. Hold
Many
on.
of you probably already know.
I'm going to back that up, because right off the bat, I want to point something out. I have pre-watched this because I wanted to be prepared. And in this video, he talks about how Jessie Lee at some point called him dad, or started to call him dad. How insulting to Jessie Lee's dad, but we'll talk about that later. He's trying to paint this picture like they had a very close relationship, but just judging from the beginning of this video where he gets her birth date wrong, and maybe it's an editing thing, maybe it's whoever was editing the video, but like, I feel like that's kind of important,
Many of you probably already know from my social media, but about 48 hours ago, my beautiful dear friend who you heard on our show just several weeks ago, Jessie Lee Ward, she passed away of stage 4 cancer. When Jessie Lee died,
I also need to point out that the only edit that I have made to his video is voice isolation on Final Cut Pro because he has some background music and I wanted to eliminate the background music because I really do think that it was just meant to make it overly emotional and I wanted to remove that so that, I mean, you guys get it, I'm sure.
She had problems and worries and concerns like you do
This is
right
Ed
now.
Mylett.
My dad had made mistakes in his life. So did Jessie Lee. So have I. We're not our mistakes. We're not our sins. So if we're none of those.
Hey, Ed, this entire video is a mistake, in my opinion, that you did. This entire video that you put out where you are weaving in, pitching your coaching and all kinds of stuff off of her death, giant mistake. Giant, huge, in my opinion, again. Also, we have a new member. What's up, Natasha? Welcome. This is for you. Welcome, Natasha. I timed that all wrong. I apologize, but thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate you. My hair looks like cotton candy. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Yes, Jessie Lee was coaching with him, and I believe she said it was $30,000. I don't remember the time frame on it, but this was somebody that she was paying. Yeah.
Those things, you can't take your accumulations with you. You can't take your body with you. You can't take your problems with you. You can't take your worries and fears and emotions with you. So what do you actually leave here? Because you can leave something here. You do leave something here. There's a little part of my dad in me now, that life force, that spirit, that soul is within me. There's a little bit of Jessie Lee that's within me. I carry her dreams. I carry her heart. I carry part of her spirit. I carry part of her love. We are the accumulation of these people that we love. Our soul goes to heaven, but we leave a part of our life force.
I just have a hard time with him mentioning people that we love while talking about Jessie Lee because it has been very apparent, in my opinion, how many transactional relationships she appeared to have. The amount of people that are trying to capitalize for personal gain from talking about Jessie Lee or just, like his video, the last I checked, is monetized. It's not going to a fundraiser or anything like that. His video is monetized, and then he weaves in the pitching of his programs and stuff. And to me, that's really sad because people like this are like, man, I loved her. And maybe he did care about her. I don't know, but it just seems really odd that you would monetize a video that was supposed to be a tribute to her, and you get her birth date wrong in the very first slide, if you will, like right off of the bat. And I don't know, I'm just having some feelings about that,
Spirit, our love, our belief, our memories in those people. And so I am Jessie Lee. I am Edward Michael Joseph Mylett Jr. So you got to
Except
ask
you're not.
yourself, when you have your one more day, like my dad had, or you were left with 2 more days, like Jessie Lee, who do you want to be in those moments? People matter, things don't. And I've been pursuing too many things or ideas or concepts or stages or levels of whatever it is on the ladder. And it's the people that matter. And sometimes you don't realize that until they're gone. I'm so grateful that in Jessie Lee,
It's the people that matter, but sometimes you don't realize it until they're gone. If it's really about the people, wouldn't you realize that while they were living? That seems odd to me.
case, she knew she mattered to me. Jessie Lee, I want to tell you I love you and I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you. You're home. All of our lives, we work so hard to change how we feel. And the beautiful thing about her being in heaven is she gets to feel all of it now.
I think too many of us are living for other people instead of living for ourselves. I just wish more people would chase that dream that they really care about, would love the person that they know they're supposed to be in love with, or take the big scary chance that everybody has told them just doesn't make any sense at all and just live their life. Because when you realize that every day is not guaranteed, you're not worried so much anymore about offending people because of your opinions or your truth. You start realizing that your authentic self is all that you really need to be. It's knowing that every moment is actually precious.
I agree with her on that. I think out of all of this, and I said it on the last live stream, I feel like this has been a cautionary tale for so many reasons. One, highlighting, in my opinion, what can go wrong when transactional relationships are the ones that are influencing somebody when it comes to their health. Again, that's just my opinion. I think the awareness around getting screened, specifically for colon cancer, especially if you have any kind of history of cancer in your family, getting screened, and the amount of people that have sent me a message and said, I made that doctor's appointment, or I've been scared to do this, and now I'm going to the doctor and I'm getting this checked out. I think is really amazing. If there were anything amazing out of this entire situation, I feel like people going and getting screened and the awareness around how this could go very wrong, I think is very, very important. Also, I see this comment here. Why is his logo in a tribute video? Just one more example of the ick in this video. So,
Hey, it's Ed Mylett. I just wanted to thank you for being here, and I would ask you to please subscribe to the show. If you just click the subscribe button here, I would really appreciate it. It helps the show grow so we can get even more successful guests on the program to help you. At the
on a tribute video? Who edited this? Who thought this was a good idea? Who thought, you know what? We're going to put out a Jessie Lee tribute video, and we are going to make sure that we're asking people to subscribe. We are going to make sure that we are asking people, oh my God, it's very similar to what we saw from Eric, in my opinion. He put out the video. I reacted to that. If you have not watched that, I did that, I believe, last Monday, depending on when you're watching this video. Just go into the live tab and you'll see it. And the majority of the time that Eric was talking, he was talking about himself. But it was titled "In Memory of Jessie Lee Ward." And so the fact that Ed is kind of doing the same thing, where he's weaving in his logo and he's asking people to subscribe. The video, last I checked, was monetized, unless he has changed that. I'm laughing as I'm uncomfortable, just to be clear.
same time, if you're subscribed, you're going to get access to the programs before anybody else in the world gets access to them. So if you would, click subscribe right here. Thanks so much.
Oh my
All right, welcome
God.
back to the show, everybody. So
He planned that into the filming. He planned in that cut of that ad for people to subscribe. I don't remember if he does this, but is he going to also promote his podcast? I hate this so much.
this week, I come to you with a very heavy heart. This is certainly going to be a different type of podcast this week, one that
This is his podcast? So you put it out on YouTube and on your podcast, which both are monetized? Are you for real right now?
Bombastic side eye.
I can't.
I wish I wasn't doing. One that I've tried to record now 3 times, and before I hit the record button, I couldn't stop the tears from flowing. So
This right here.
depending on when you're listening to this, I'm so sad if this is the first time you're hearing this, but I'm delivering some really difficult news, tragic news. Many of you probably already know from my social media, but about 48 hours ago, my beautiful dear friend who you heard on our show just several weeks ago, Jessie Lee Ward, passed away of she passed away of stage 4 cancer that we had talked about on this very show, and the fight that she was having, and that we thought that she was winning. And unfortunately, my sweet friend lost her battle.
Okay, but we didn't think she was winning. We hoped that she was winning. We did. We really, really hoped that. Let me just speak for myself, because I know everybody has their own feelings, and they're valid. I wanted her to beat colon cancer. I wanted her to live. I wanted her to use the most effective weapon that we have against cancer right now, which is chemotherapy, radiation, whatever is suggested to you by the professionals, the oncology team. I wanted her to be here. I wanted her to beat colon cancer. And I'm actually kind of at a loss for words, because watching people try to capitalize for personal financial gain is just, it makes me sick to my stomach. We didn't think, let me back that up. I didn't think she was healing. The things I'd hoped, let me say that again, I'd hoped that she was, but she wasn't following the advice that she said the oncology team or oncologist gave her. And the symptoms that we were seeing and the pain that she was in, which is absolutely heartbreaking, I don't feel like that was showing us, even though I feel like she was trying really hard for people to believe that she was healing. To me, there were too many things that were happening that didn't feel like somebody that was healing, specifically the pain, the ascites in the abdomen, which is typically an end stage cancer symptom, along with the pain. So the fact that he's saying that, maybe they believed it, but I think that anybody that is critically thinking probably saw a lot of the behavior and the symptoms that she was talking about and really didn't believe it, you know? It's just sad.
Battle with this terrible disease that we need to cure.
We do need to cure it, but in the meantime, we need to embrace the most effective weapon that we have.
48 hours ago, so this is very fresh for me, but I thought it was important because we're like a big family here, the millions of us that are part of this community that are part of the Ed Mylett show or my social media, etc., that I just share with you in real time how I feel and how I'm dealing with this, because I know many of you have been grieving at the loss that you fell in love with her when she was on my show. And
this part of his video is kind of confusing to me, because is this a tribute video for Jessie Lee, or is he teaching people how to process grief? Which, by the way, Ed, are you even qualified to do that? Are you even are you a grieving counselor or a grief counselor? Not grieving, a grief counselor. Are you equipped to do any of that? Because I would probably say no, just in my opinion. You know, let's maybe leave that to the professionals, the people that are educated and continue to educate themselves on grieving and the process and how to help people work through that process. Because I really don't feel like you're not a grief counselor, right? So if the video is monetized and you're pitching all of your coaching or podcasts or whatever in this, and you've got your logo, her birth date's wrong. This just feels odd to me, and kind of feels like it's about the money. That's how I feel about it.
we're following her journey since that time. You're talking about a woman who's 34 years old, in the prime of her life, was making millions and millions of dollars, where just many years ago she was broke. She had found the love of her life, and I was honored. I had known Jessie Lee.
I just find it so interesting how there are parts of that story that came from Jessie Lee's own mouth that are being left out. She was in the prime of her life. She's the healthiest that she had ever been, but she had stage 4 cancer. And one of the first symptoms, in my opinion, that we saw online was the weight loss. That's not the healthiest you've ever been if you're battling stage 4 colon cancer.
Yeah, y'all, I'd known Jessie Lee, been around her for 4 or 5 years, 6 years actually, at different speaking engagements. She ran up and took a picture to me in 2018 at the 10X Growth Con, just to get a picture with me. And then I watched her at different events as her life was changing. She would be like a speaker before I would get up and talk, and I knew who she was, and we would always say hello backstage. And I was told she was wild and crazy, and people had different opinions about her. And then over time, we had some mutual friends, and then I was honored, I don't know, a little over a year ago, that she asked me to be her coach. And when she asked me to be her coach, I fell in love with her. And it wasn't very long after that she started to call me dad every time we talked. And we talked or texted just about every single day. 1 week after she asked me to coach her, she was diagnosed with cancer.
Let me also remind you, on this podcast that he did with Jessie Lee, he told her that she needed to keep working as Boss Lee. So my question is this guilt that we're seeing from him? Because he's the one that told her when she was like, hey, I'm really thinking about, retiring, Boss Lee, or however she might have worded it differently. But she was talking about, laying back and taking care of herself and relaxing. And he was like, no. And I just wonder if the reason that he had such a strong response is because he knew he would be losing out on that $30,000 from a coaching client. And if so, that is absolutely vile, Ed. Because if you really, in my opinion, cared about Jessie Lee, you would have told her, you know what? I think that's a great idea. I think you should really focus on healing. And, you've put these systems in place for all this time, and you have these leaders in your company, on your team. Maybe now is the time for you to step back and focus on your healing and, let all of that go and just focus on you for a little bit, But no, he told her, no, now is the time you need to be more Boss Lee. And then we saw everything that happened. So it's very interesting hearing what he's having to say when he was the one that told her to keep going and to go hard in the paint, if you will.
And I'll never forget. And by the way,
It's
I'm doing this
heartbreaking.
today because I know many of you are grieving about something in your life, or you will. And I thought I would just share with you how I feel and potentially how I'm going to deal with this, or I am dealing with it, so that maybe it'll help you. And
How are you dealing with it? So you're doing a monetized video acting like it's a tribute to her, talking about your grief, talking about the loss of your dad, pitching your programs, asking people to subscribe.
I'm not sure I should be doing this, but I am. So it's very difficult.
I definitely think that you should not have done this video. Yeah.
But 1 week after she asked me to coach her, I just want to share this with you. She was diagnosed and had a very lengthy, very difficult surgery where they removed part of her intestine and her colon. And I'll never forget thinking, well, she'll cancel this coaching call.
So remember a few minutes ago when Ed said, and this was posted publicly, that's why I'm going to address this here and now. Remember when he was like, yeah, she was calling me dad. This is Jessie Lee's dad. He's alive and well. And the irony of Ed Mylett saying, oh, she was calling me dad. And then he includes a picture of Jessie Lee and her dad from her surgery in February. How insulting. And that's one of the things that has really bothered me about all of this is the lack of consideration for Jessie Lee's family. The lack of consideration for how maybe they wanted to announce her death instead of Eric doing what he did with his vague posting and letting the comments go wild. Ed Mylett was the one that posted publicly first that I saw talking about Jessie Lee's death. And the lack of consideration for Jessie Lee's family and the leaving out key details of what happened is disgusting to me. It's absolutely vile.
We'll do it when she's out of the hospital.
Hey, Charlene. Hey, Avery.
She didn't. This coaching call happened and she was in her hospital bed. Had just come out of surgery the day before, had her laptop out, her notepad out.
A laptop. That's funny. This is just highlighting grind culture. This is a perfect example of what I said just a couple of minutes ago of him saying that, no, you need to be more Boss Lee now. This is the time where you need to be more Boss Lee now more than ever. That statement right there where he is glorifying the fact that she just had this major surgery where they were where they were removing, excuse me, parts of her colon a day after surgery, and she's on a coaching call, and he's glorifying that. He's putting her on a pedestal saying, see, it doesn't matter what you're going through. You should still continue to show up for your MLM. You should still show up for your MLM coaching calls. And that's disgusting. If you just had surgery, take the time to heal. I mean, that goes without saying, right? But when you're in an MLM, the pressure to keep showing up because of the spinning plates analogy that I've talked about all the time, if you're not spinning these plates every single day, trying to recruit people, trying to sell an overpriced product that you can get other places, those plates come crashing down. And this is a perfect example of that. And I think it's horrible. You know, she had this major surgery, a bunch of lymph nodes removed, parts of her colon removed, and she can't even stop for a second and just heal. That's not something to be glorified. Like, we shouldn't be glorifying that.
And was ready to go. And I thought in that moment, I love this young woman. And
Why? Because she'll do what you want
she
her
told me that
to?
I was the dad that she never had in her life. And every time she would call me that,
I'm sorry. The previous picture that you put in this, Ed, was a picture of her and her dad. Now, I'm not going to speak on their relationship, but her dad is alive. And you included a picture of him being there at his daughter's surgery in February. Oh my God.
I would get goosebumps many of the times because I was so honored. And we became very, very close. And I'm
So
grateful that I had her
disrespectful.
on the show and that you all got to listen to her, but I'm definitely grieving right now. Very difficult for me to process this. There's a range of emotions I'm experiencing right now, from obviously sadness and despair, anger. I don't understand why something like this happens, why God would do this, and had some conversations with him recently, like, what's going on here, man?
This is the spiritual manipulation part. This is the part where, when things like this happen, when somebody loses their life to cancer or some sort of tragedy, excuse me, and people say, well, everything happens for a reason. Oh, okay. So, um, a child that passes from cancer, everything happens for a reason. Sometimes really horrible things just happen. We don't need to assign necessarily a life lesson to every single thing, and understanding that just things like this just happen, and it sucks and it's terrible and it doesn't make any sense. But I don't think it's fair to say everything happens for a reason. That feels very toxically positive, very MLM, in my opinion. I know everybody has different spiritual beliefs here, religious beliefs here, and that's totally cool. I respect all of that. But the using that kind of language in this scenario, it sucks that Jessie Lee died so young. It really sucks that she, I feel like, listened to people that were just trying to make money off of her, with all of these natural remedies and things like that. I'm not saying there's not a time or place for natural remedies. I think that they can be used for helping with symptoms of chemotherapy, radiation. I think that in conjunction with the approval of your oncology team, oncologist, I think is amazing. But to only depend on that, thinking that you're going to beat cancer, I just think that that's really dangerous. And I think that these people that were selling her these treatments, whether it's the guy in Germany or the guy in Malibu, married to Denise Richards. Yeah. Also the Chris Beats Cancer guy. Yeah. He had chemotherapy. He had something like 36 rounds of chemotherapy, and he was telling her that she shouldn't do chemo. Are you kidding me? Yeah, you forgot that part of. I'm talking to him. He forgot to mention that part of the story until very recently on his Instagram, where he's talking about, oh yeah, I had 36 rounds of cancer or whatever. Interesting how now all of a sudden that's being mentioned. But from what it sounds like, allegedly, He was one of the people that was telling her, no, here's the list of questions you should ask your oncologist. You don't need chemotherapy. You can beat this naturally. Meanwhile, he's gone through many, many rounds of chemotherapy.
But then there's this other part of me that's incredibly
Exactly.
happy and blissful, because I am a believer, because I do believe that Jesus died for our sins and that he's given us everlasting life if we accept that, and that she's in heaven, and that if heaven really is a place that we want to go, that she's blessed to be there. She's no longer in any pain. She's no longer worried. She's in heaven. She's in paradise. I believe that strongly. I was relying on some scriptures. In Luke 23:43, Jesus replied, I assure you that today you will be with me in paradise. And when she passed, I read that within the hour. And it gives me comfort. If we really believe that, don't we, in our lives, then we should be almost celebrating the fact that she's there and grieving our own loss. So I'm simultaneously so happy for her that she's in paradise, but grieving the loss I feel, and that I know many of you feel, and the thousands of people that she coached and that she influenced on her social media. And I'm grieving. I want to say something to you about grief.
Not the pop-up. Leave a comment. Oh, God. This is so bad. Oh, the religious manipulation. Now, listen. Again, like I just said a few minutes ago, everybody has their own beliefs. I respect your religious beliefs. To use it in conjunction with all of this, I think is not the time or the place. And I'm just wondering if this is coming from guilt from him. From him. He told her to double down and be more boss Lee. Now's the time you got to get really aggressive in things. And, is this coming from guilt? I don't know.
Any type of grief that you may be going through, whether that be grieving the end of someone's life, then you've lost them, or the end of a relationship. It could be an illness that someone's going through. But in this case, it was her passing and her death. Grief is a sign that love is greater than death. I'll say that again, because I've been
You
saying
don't
it to
need to.
myself an awful lot. Grief is a sign that love is greater than death. And it's not the events of our lives that define us. This is such a tragic and difficult event in the prime of her life. But it's not the events of our lives that define our existence here. It's the meaning we take from that event. And so I've been asking myself, Lord, what does this mean? Because I have this firm belief that I've shared with you forever, and it's being tested right now, is that everything in our lives are happening for us and not to us.
Remember the example that I said about, children passing or getting cancer, just all of those scenarios. So everything is happening for us, not to us, meaning something happens to a child or some kind of tragic event, let me just say it that way, happens, and that's happening for us. You know what I have to say about that? Here's what I have to say about that. That's how I feel about that statement from him.
That's a difficult one. I remember when my father passed
Thanks,
away
Liz.
just a few years ago, thinking, Lord, how in the world is this happening for me? Or my dad's cancer and the suffering that he went through, the suffering that Jessie Lee went through, or the hope she had. Just the day.
Yeah, but the suffering that she was going through was because she was believing people that said, in my opinion, that said that they loved her and were telling her to do these types of treatments that were not actually treatments and not the most effective weapon to try and combat cancer, according to her oncologist.
Before she passed, we were communicating about what her plans were and what she was going to do when she got out. We were speaking together this coming Saturday, and we were talking about getting together for lunch, and she wanted to give me a hug, and I wanted to see her. We wanted to sit down and do our coaching in person, and that she was so thrilled. She told me to speak on the same stage that I was speaking on.
I'm sorry. I have a question for you guys that are watching or watching live or watching the replay. Were these people that delusional? I mean, it was bad enough that we watched Jessie Lee share the things that she was sharing about her health and that whole journey. But then while she was in the hospital, watching everybody that was there smile like it's, hey, yeah, we're going to help her get out of the hospital. Kelsey Ray, at that point, you knew that Jessie Lee probably was not going to be coming home. You probably knew that. And then this whole story that he's like, listen, we were going to get together on Saturday. We were going to speak at the same event that her assistant and Aviram and Courtney went to. My question is who paid for that? I just have a question. I'm not stating anything as a fact. I just would love to know who paid for that, for the travel and all of that. I'm just saying. Are these people were they that delusional? Like, oh, I mean, they really thought she was getting better? She was in ICU, allegedly. I don't understand how these people are like, yep, she's going to get out of the hospital. Yeah, I'm going to hug her. And listen, when we face hard things in life, I'm all for being positive, but I'm also all about being realistic. When you have a health crisis, I feel like, okay, this is what we're hoping for. This is where we're at. This is what we need to do. And I don't understand how these people didn't see her, what I would imagine her state to be like while in the hospital, and talking to the nursing staff and the doctors, if they were able to, or whatever information was able to be shared, because probably, honestly, it was probably not much because they weren't family. But I just don't understand the disconnect. It's like, I just wonder if the nurses were like, this is not good. She probably is not going to make it very much longer. And they're like, yeah, we're going to hug her at lunch together on Saturday. And it just doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
And 12 hours later, she was gone. Trying to process that. What does it mean?
Also, this comment, I think Courtney posted this. I think this was a text from Courtney's, I don't even know what to call her. This individual that she refers to. I think this is like some sort of a spiritual coach, guide. I'm not really sure what to call this person. I believe that this is the same person that's a shaman and suggested to Courtney that she needs to take 5 drops of iodine. Also, the reason that she covers the foil of her iodine drops is not to protect it from light, because the bottle should do that itself, but it's to protect it from frequencies. Yeah. And I think this text is from that individual. She visited me for a moment. She's happy and free and at peace. She's full of joy and going around to those she loves to share her light. I do hope that she is doing that. I really, really do. She says, I'm free and joyful. All is according to plan. This is where that saying came that you see on all the t-shirts now that say all is according to plan. She is so appreciative of your friendship and care. She calls you dear one. Never in the amount of time that I have known Jessie Lee personally have I ever heard her call anybody dear one. Let me just say that.
Because I'm not telling you that every event in life is beautiful. There's a tragic accident or a young woman like this beautiful soul loses her life. But what I am saying is that I believe God uses those events.
Brandy. Okay, today I tried out, I think this is a perfect opportunity for a little bit of a break because this is a very heavy video. Today I tried something a little bit different, and brow tutorial. Y'all are wild, but maybe Perhaps, but I appreciate all the compliments. Thank you guys.
So that although in our own grief and our own pain, remember this person's in paradise, but in our own grief and our own pain, that event is used to make us better, for us to learn something, for us to take something, to have an appreciation for something that maybe we don't now, an inspiration that we don't have.
Avi has stated there are so many lies that when he is able, he plans on telling the real story. Now, why wouldn't he be able to tell the real story? You know, unless legally there's things going on, which I find very interesting. Very interesting.
And so for me, I've been asking myself, what do I need to believe about this so that it serves me? What am I supposed to learn through this? And I have to tell you, many of those lessons have
Why do you have to learn through this situation? Why does everything in multi-level marketing or from MLM coaches, by the way, did y'all know that he allegedly has a position in World Financial Group? So he's an MLM coach that has a position allegedly in an MLM that's probably paying him big money because he's been a part of multi-level marketing for many, many years. He's probably a founding member, if I recall correctly. And now he's an MLM coach. He's literally grifting people that are struggling in multi-level marketing, in my opinion. Disgusting.
been screaming at me this last 48 hours. One is the preciousness of my own life and your own life.
I believe that she is having a funeral. Her obituary had some information about it. I'm not sure if it's just family or whatnot, although I did hear something about Courtney saying that she was asked not to attend, which for the family, I think, in my opinion, I think that's a good move. I don't think anybody in multi-level marketing within Prove It or any other companies need to be attending a funeral for Jessie Lee. I think that should be a sacred space for the family. That's obviously just my opinion, and maybe maybe the MLMers will do something else for her. But I think that funeral doesn't need to be turned into a circus. I think that allowing the family to grieve and I think thinking of the family first in this scenario rather than these transactional relationships, I think that's the right thing to do,
Anytime she loses their life, we feel that, don't we, for a week, and then we go back to our problems and our worries and our patterns. And I promised myself that this time that her passing won't be in vain, that it really will affect me, that I will take each day as being more precious and more valuable and more sacred, that I'm not going to let it only last 4 or 5 or 6 days like it has when other friends of mine have passed away, that this time it's going to really influence and impact me. I've learned that.
Yep. Her obituary says she died of cancer. And I'm sure anybody with any kind of experience, whether you're, hospice or anything in the medical field, or you've had experiences with losing loved ones and with cancer. And if that's you, I'm so sorry. Probably understands a lot more from what Jessie Lee said publicly before her passing, which, by the way, sounds like her or not Instagram. It sounds like her Facebook has been taken down. And honestly, I really do feel like if that's the case, that's a very good thing because of the amount of misinformation that was spread on Facebook. I really do. If that's the case, I really do hope that her Instagram is taken down, her YouTube is taken down, so that people like Eric can't take all of her videos and turn it into a monetized catalog of misinformation. I really hope that all of that is taken down. So I don't know if the Facebook is still not there, but that is the last that I heard about that. And if that's the case, I really am glad. I really am glad that's taken down.
I'm not done yet. And if this was my final day, I'm not satisfied with who I am and how I've lived and who I want to become. I need to change. I need to grow. I need to improve. And I believe that's one of the lessons I'm learning. I want to learn to honor the people in my life that have left, like my dad, like my friend Dave Hollis this last year, like many people in my life who are gone, especially in this case, Jessie Lee, because she was so young. I want to honor her with how I conduct the rest of my life, how I conduct myself today. And I believe that's what this is trying to teach me. It's trying to teach many of us that maybe for some of you, you need to go get your health checked. There's all kinds of
agree with
genetic
that.
testing that you can do for cancer to know whether you're predisposed.
Or you could just, since we're talking about colon cancer here, you could get the different screening options that are available, which, by the way, if you go to coloncancercoalition.org, I believe is the website. It should be linked in the video description. They have different screening options. They have education available. They have all kinds of stuff, including events. I think they had events this weekend. I don't know when their next events are, but there is so many ways that you can get screening if it's you have a history of breast cancer or you're in some sort of a risk category. Get mammograms, get all of those screening options based on your risks and stuff. I just think that that's very, very important. So I do agree with him, but the fact that he's now basically pitching genetic tests, is he going to suggest a full body MRI as well? Make those doctor's appointments, get your health checked, and definitely get screened for things, especially if you have any kind of risk factors,
genetically for it. You can go get your lab work done, your blood work done. This is a healthy woman who was in the best shape of her life.
Except, no, Ed, she wasn't. She was not, and I don't mean this to be disrespectful. I don't mean this to be rude, but I feel like he's trying to make her a martyr in a way. She was not healthy because she told us that she didn't tell us. Eric Worre told us she had stage 4 colon cancer in February. That's somebody that's fighting for their life. That's not necessarily healthy. They're sick. She may have been in the prime of her life because she was 34, but she wasn't healthy. And the weight loss was a very significant symptom, in my opinion. The heavily bleeding from, I think she said November until her surgery, was a significant symptom.
Lost a bunch of weight. She was fit. She was training. She had incredible energy levels.
But
this
she
was
didn't.
inside her body.
But she didn't. She said she was tired. She said on that podcast that she was tired. So that was all a front, it seems like. Obviously, I'm not stating that as a fact, but somebody with stage 4 cancer, it's okay to be tired. Your body is doing a lot of work, especially if you're going through chemotherapy and radiation and, immunotherapy, those types of things. Your body is doing a lot of work. It's okay to be tired, but to put her on this pedestal, like, oh, she was great. There were no symptoms. There were symptoms. There were symptoms. And we all saw it literally before our eyes.
Body, unbeknownst to her. She didn't find out till it was in its 4th stage. So maybe that's a lesson for many of you.
Because symptoms, in my opinion, were ignored. I'm not saying that there's always symptoms. I think that every case is different. However, from the information that was put out there by Jessie Lee, I do believe that there were symptoms that were ignored.
In Jessie Lee's case, she shared on my podcast that at one point in her life, she had actually given her mom a metaphorical funeral because the relationship was so strained and so bad.
And why are you even bringing this up about Jessie Lee's mom? Unless you're just trying to emotionally manipulate your audience. Why are you even bringing that up? Her mom's not a public figure. So why is that important in this in memory of Jessie Lee video? But really it's about you pitching your programs. Like,
And she had such frustration with her mom that she actually buried her in her mind and gave her a funeral. And then it was on my show that she revealed that through our coaching that wasn't good.
Oh, that's why he's bringing it up, because he's patting himself on the back like, listen, because I coached her, I told her to fix that relationship. Yeah, good for you, Ed. What? all of these people that are patting themselves on the back or making Jessie Lee's death about themselves is horrific. That's not how you honor somebody that passed away. I can't even believe this guy.
Good enough, and that she wanted to build a brand new relationship with her mom. And she had said on my show just a few weeks ago that the following day she was going to go see her mother. And I can tell you, report to you that she did. And they had a beautiful reconciliation. And
Why are you even speaking about any of this? Listen, after watching some of the things that Jessie Lee has said about family members, I cannot imagine being those family members and seeing that and hearing that. I just can't imagine what the family went through when they heard specific things come out of Jessie Lee's mouth. It's sad.
Jessie Lee was in tears about it and had such a deep understanding and appreciation for her mother's journey now. She made that relationship right before her passing.
I'm very
And
glad
she felt an
about that.
incredible love from her mom, and I'm sure her mom did from her. Maybe there's a relationship that you've been
Ed, please stop.
sideways with, or strife, or you've been disconnected for many years or months, that maybe this passing is the lesson for you. The meaning you need to take away is you need to make those relationships right. Maybe the lesson for you, like it is for me, is that what really matters is it just all of this stuff and the accumulation and the helping people, all that's important. But who's important in your life? Your family, your love.
The accumulation of stuff is important, Ed. The stuff that you mentioned at the beginning of this, that you can't take it with you. You can't take your body with you. You can't take your money with you. You can't take your possessions with you. I mean, are you like directly contradicting yourself right here, right now? And I can't get this out of my head as I'm watching this, but he was the one that told Jessie Lee to unleash more of Boss Lee. He's the one that told her to keep working the way that she was.
Loved ones. That's a lesson learned. In my case, it's a little different than many people, but I need to slow down a little bit. I'm spending too much time working.
Oh,
Too much time.
how fascinating that you gave Jessie Lee the opposite advice and now she's not here. How fascinating that now you, in all of this, your lesson is, I need to slow down. I need to spend more time with my family. But a second ago, you talked about how important family is. And you also talked about how important stuff and, accumulating stuff is. So is it really the relationships that are super important to you, Ed? Or, is it the accumulation of stuff? And it's infuriating to me that here he is saying, I spend too much time working. But he felt good in giving Jessie Lee that advice. Somebody that was fighting stage 4 colon cancer. No, you need to be more Boss Lee. You need to do more. Now is the time.
I'm giving. I am. Too much time not taking rest, not enjoying the simple things in life. In my case, I need to say no to more things that are opportunities of mine.
Wow.
I need to get part of my life back. I need to get part of my personal life back. I need to get my social life back. I've taken a look this week at my friends, and I think I've had most of my friendships on maintenance mode now for too many years, where there's a test.
Is this like a confession video? Part of me is wondering, is he confessing that he gave her in a way, obviously this is just my opinion. Is he confessing that, I gave her the wrong advice? And so now I'm going to make that right by taking the advice that I should have given her. I don't know, but this is, I don't want to say fascinating, but it's kind of like, okay, maybe this is why he did this video. And maybe that's why he's like, well, I don't know if I should be doing this video or not.
There's a hello, there's a lunch, but it's not as deep as it should be, or as it once was, or as it could be. And I need to evaluate, because people matter. Things.
Oh, okay. All right. So what I'm hearing from you, Ed, if I may, is that you've been focused on the transactional relationships and now you want to focus on the friendships because now things don't matter like they did. Huh. Okay.
Things don't. When moments like this come every time, it's people that matter, things don't. And I've
Right.
been pursuing too many things or ideas or concepts or stages or levels of whatever it is on the ladder.
Says the guy that spoke a week after Jessie Lee's passing on the same stage that she was supposed to be speaking on.
And it's the people that matter. And sometimes you don't realize that until they're gone. I'm so grateful that in Jessie Lee's case, she knew she mattered to me. I told her every single day, just about every single day, that I loved her and I was proud of her. She was one of these people who, like all of
Does anybody else think it's weird when you are in a business relationship and you're telling somebody that you love them? I feel like that's blurring the lines of business and personal, which is something we definitely see, in my opinion, in multi-level marketing. You know, that's the draw of the community that they talk about. That's why they do it, is because they're trying to find people that are lonely, that are looking for a connection, that are looking for family, that are looking for just people that care about them. And unfortunately, I feel like there's a lot of people that do join multi-level marketing that get sucked in because of that. We saw that during the pandemic. But this is just very interesting to me watching him kind of work through this. I feel like this is a conversation that he should have had with a grief therapist, a grief counselor, to help him work through this rather than putting out a monetized video and getting her birth date wrong. And then all of this has not been needed. You know, speaking about Jessie Lee's mom and this and that, like that's not your story to tell. If anybody, that's Jessie Lee's mom's story to tell. That shouldn't be you speaking on that. That should be, if Jessie Lee's mom ever wanted to even speak about that publicly, she's not a public figure, so that should be for her. And again, this just brings me right back to the lack of consideration for the family and the absolute entitlement that some of these people that were around her in multi-level marketing think that they are owed. You know, I mean, there's more that I would like to say, but I'm not going to. I can't. So just, it's infuriating. Some of the stuff that's happening behind the scenes allegedly is absolutely vile. And it's the entitlement. You know, the entitlement that, you know, she was my leader in multi-level marketing. She was my best friend. And so I should be entitled to X, Y, and Z. No, the family should be entitled to whatever. The family is very much living.
of us wasn't perfect and had her flaws. But as she was getting older, she was getting better. She was improving. She was gaining wisdom and humility. She was incredibly coachable. She was getting better as a person. And so there's all these lessons. When life happens,
I think that's subjective, in my opinion. Not that I want to say anything. I don't even want to say that. Somebody that shows the behavior that Jessie Lee did in her last year. Let's just talk about the last year. I don't think when you are wishing people to be harmed in the way that we have seen her, and please don't put this in the comments because I didn't give a content warning for it, but there were very specific things that she said wishing other people harm. And that to me is not somebody that is getting better. The spreading of misinformation, in my opinion, not being truthful to her following, the denial, the villainizing of the medical community and modern medicine, that feels to me like, that doesn't feel to me, let me back up, like somebody that was getting better and somebody that was growing. I hoped that she would, But when people were saying, you know, please consider chemotherapy and this and that, we want you around, and for her to just blast people the way that she did in her stories and stuff, that doesn't feel to me like somebody that was growing. That's just my opinion, though.
Happens this way for us, because it did happen for us. The important thing
No,
to
it
ask yourself
didn't.
is, what is this supposed to mean? What am I supposed to learn from this?
That you
What
gave
is
her wrong
God trying to teach
advice.
me right now? What's my lesson? And for someone else, this exact event he will use to teach something else to. And for another person, this same event will mean something completely different. That's the infinite wisdom and power that God has in our life, is that there can be millions of different meanings from the same event for his precious children. And in my case, those are the lessons. I've also allowed myself to cry a lot more the last few days than I normally do. I read this quote by Washington Irving. He says, "There's a sacredness in tears. They are not the mark of weakness, but of power."
Oh my God. Ed, stop. The arrogance in this. So you've allowed yourself to cry, and now you're reading a quote that says that you're powerful because you allowed yourself to cry more on a monetized video. I know I keep repeating myself, but like, a monetized video that was supposed to be a tribute to Jessie Lee Ward, where he's talking about himself, and now he's flexing because he's allowed himself to cry after the passing of Jessie Lee Ward, that he says he loved so much, and it's just a way for him to say that he's powerful. Oh my God. Oh, this needs a sound effect.
Hell to the no, no.
That's how I feel about that.
They speak more eloquently than 10,000 tongues. They are the messengers of overwhelming grief, of deep contrition, and unspeakable love. And so when I cry these tears that I've had
What?
the last few days, and I know I will for some time, they're sacred. They're not a mark of weakness. They're a mark of power.
Ed, I feel like you've lost the plot here. I feel like I feel like we took a left and we should have been going the other direction. I'm laughing because I can't believe this. I cannot believe he is saying this. He's talking about Jessie Lee's passing after all the advice that he gave her, and now he's like, I'm crying, and that makes me powerful. What? Oh my God.
They speak eloquently about my grief and my unspeakable love. Not just for Jessie Lee, but somehow this affected me about my love for you and your
What?
precious families and your life.
I'm gonna need you to stay out of my business, Ed. I'm sure other people feel that same way. Oh my God. I just feel like I feel like this is emotional manipulation, what we're seeing here. You know, and my love for you guys. Ed, you probably don't even know any of your audience personally.
Lives and how much I want you to be happy. I spend so much of my time dedicating my life to other people's happiness and joy
What?
and success. That one of the lessons I've learned in this, because it brings me such joy and happiness to do that, I still need to make sure I give myself the gift of my own. And although that gives me joy,
You know that song, Gen Xers will probably know, and millennials. That song by Maya, It's All About You with Cisco. That is the song that came into my mind just now as we're listening to Ed talk about himself and how Jessie Lee's death, you know, is a gift to him, essentially. I feel like that's what he's saying. And I just think that that's disgusting. It makes me very uncomfortable. But do y'all remember that song? Yeah. You remember, Nancy. I see it. Yep.
and gratitude and pride and peace when I give to other people. There is always something we should be doing for ourselves. And so many of you, maybe you're constantly sacrificing for the people that you love at your own expense. There can become a point where it's at your own expense. And maybe that's one of your lessons. And maybe you've never heard of Jessie Lee and you didn't even see that episode, but I'm helping you today navigate through your life or grief you've experienced, or maybe grief you can avoid.
What? The only thing that's missing from this is for him to say, you can listen to that podcast. It's linked in the video description of this.
Or regret you can avoid. You know, at the end of your life, you know, who do you want to be? Grief is a sign that love is greater than death. You know, when I was with my dad
Oh my
when he
God.
passed away, and I was communicating with Jessie Lee all the way up until the very end. In all candor, she had sent me a message. So amazing to me, I have to tell you. My dad told me that he had one more day. When he actually had one more day. Jessie Lee.
Maybe that's because the doctors told him he had one more day. Maybe that's, I don't know. I mean, I don't know anything about his dad or his dad's passing, but maybe it's because the doctor said, there's not much time.
He messaged me and told me that she had 2 more days. And she lived 2 more days.
That was from her surgery in February.
And something occurred to me when I was with my dad after he passed away. And the same thing occurs to me now in losing my sweet, beautiful friend.
That made me uncomfortable. The way that he just said that made me really uncomfortable. I don't like that.
She was such a life force. In my life, my dad was the most important life force. And I have to tell you, when my dad passed away, I was with his body. There was about, I don't know, an hour and a half or so before the hearse came to take him. Very quickly after he had passed away, I was in the room with him alone, and I realized.
Speaking of the recount from Courtney on her coaching Jessie Lee through her final breaths, I have a hard time believing that. That's all I'm going to say. But I have a very hard time believing any of that happened.
I wasn't in the room with my dad anymore. I wasn't. My dad was gone. His body was still there, but my dad was gone. So
this is not something that should be, I feel like, on a video. I feel like you talk to your therapist about this. This feels very intrusive, uncomfortable.
It was not his body. My dad was not his body. My dad was a life force, a spirit, a soul. And it was so obvious that had gone to another place, to heaven. So we're not our bodies. Some of my dad's awards and achievements were in his house. And those weren't still there, but my dad wasn't. So we're not our achievements. We were in my dad's house. His car was in the garage. But
I just feel like he's talking about the shock of loss, because in my opinion, it doesn't matter if somebody is terminally sick or something happens and they just pass suddenly. I think the human experience of loss is they're there 1 minute and they're gone, and trying to process that aspect, I think, is so confusing and complicated. And I feel like that's what he's explaining here. His car was in the garage. Well, yeah, I mean, before he was in the hospital or whatever the situation was, he was a human. So I think this feels to me like processing loss, but I don't know how this is supposed to honor Jessie Lee. I don't know.
They weren't my dad. They weren't my dad. Because they were still there and my dad was gone. So we're not our accumulations. We're not our achievements.
Well, yeah. I mean, even at the beginning of this, he said, you can't take stuff with you. You can't take your money with you. You can't take your possessions with you. I don't understand what. I don't understand.
Jessie Lee died. She had problems and worries and concerns like you do right now. And my dad, when he passed away, had worries and concerns and fears. Those were still there, but my dad wasn't. So we're not our worries and our fears. My dad had made mistakes in his life.
I want to bring something up real quick and just kind of ask how y'all are feeling about this. Because what I have seen from people that were supporters of Jessie Lee is now they are taking her passing and they're saying, well, Jessie Lee would want me to do this. Jessie Lee would want me to pack trials. Jessie Lee would want me to do all of these things. And I don't think so. I think when you pass and just judging from, or reacting to what Ed is saying here, I don't think you care about any of that stuff when you pass. You're not here. You're no longer alive. Those types of things won't matter. I mean, I know that this comes down to like spiritual beliefs, religious beliefs, stuff like that, but I just think it's really gross watching all of these people say, well, Jessie Lee would want me to do this. I hope Jessie Lee doesn't have a care in the world. She's no longer here. She's passed. So I don't know. That's how I feel about that, I guess.
So did Jessie Lee. So have I. My gosh, I'm certainly looking at those right now. We're not our mistakes. We're not our sins.
Do you think that the advice that you gave Jessie Lee was a mistake, Ed? Do you think that that's a sin? What you suggested that she do?
So if we're none of those things, you can't take your accumulations with you. You can't take your body with you. You can't take your problems with you. You can't take your worries and fears and emotions with you. You can't take your mistakes or your sins with you. So who are you? You're a spirit. You're a soul. So you can't take those things with you. So what do you actually leave here? Because you can leave something here. You can leave something here. You do leave something here. And it occurred.
Yeah, that's why people have wills, Ed. That's why people have a will and lay out what they want to happen, who they want to have what. So of course, oh, I don't have any words, you guys.
To me, my dad left me here. My dad left my mom and my sisters and his grandchildren. There's a little part of my dad in me now, that life force, that spirit, that soul is within me.
Angry.
There's a little bit of Jessie Lee that's within me. I carry her dreams. I carry her heart. I carry part of her spirit. I carry part.
You carry her dreams? That's odd. I don't think Jessie Lee cares about her dreams anymore. This is so odd, you guys. Like, I feel like he's angry saying some of this, he feels abandoned. Yes, Ruby. Yes, that's what I'm feeling. I think what I'm feeling from him. When he said, my dad left my mom, my dad left me. Like, I feel like this is somebody that needs to see a professional, in my opinion, to help him work through some of this instead of putting a YouTube video out like this.
Part of her love. I carry my belief in her, how proud I was of her. There's a part of her with me. We are the accumulation of these people that we love. And when we leave here, what we leave is a part of ourselves with them, a part of that life force. Our soul goes to heaven, but we leave a part of our life force, our spirit, our love, our belief, our memories in those people. My dad left me those memories, those experiences, that part of his soul, his goodness, his judgment, his light, his belief in me, his pride for me and about me. And so I am Jessie Lee. I am Edward Michael Joseph Mylett Jr.
Okay, but you're not Jessie Lee. That's somebody that you had a business relationship with that has passed away, and you're allowed to grieve that. You should be grieving. I don't think anybody is judging him for grieving, but the way that he's delivering this is so different.
Not just Edward Michael Joseph Mylett III. You leave that with you. You leave that here. So you got to ask yourself, when you have your one more day, like my dad had, or you were left with 2 more days, like Jessie Lee was told she had, who do you want to be in those moments?
I'll tell you what, if I am ever faced, I mean, we're all going to die at some point, but if that's me, I definitely won't be working an MLM. Not to say that she was. I also have a very hard time believing that she was working until the last few minutes. Was she even conscious? Like, come on. There's no way that, because I know Brian Underwood said something about that, where he mentioned, how could he mentioned that she said, how could they get the scan so wrong or something like that? And I'm like, was she even conscious at that point? I don't know. Obviously, but these people and what they're saying and glorifying the fact that she was working the whole time up until probably the point where I would imagine she probably lost consciousness because she was actively dying, in my opinion. I just think that's odd. Somebody is about to pass away and they're still working their MLM. I just have a hard time believing that. Because at that point, like, does any of that even matter? You're about to die. You know?
Because let me tell you something, my friend. Someday you'll have 2 more days. Someday you'll have 1 more day. Someday Ed Mylett's going to have 1 more day. What do I want to leave here? What do I want to leave? I'm not focused today on the things I can't take with me. I'm not focused on my...
Oh, really? So you're going to give up your position at WFG? Are you going to stop coaching MLMers? Oh, no? Oh, okay. All right.
body and how ripped and jacked or healthy or not healthy I am. That's not today's podcast. We can cover that on another one. I'm not here to talk about getting wealthy and climbing the mountain and achieving your dreams.
Oh, that's another podcast. So today is just about honoring Jessie Lee, but really kind of you dealing with your grief, feeling your grief, however you want to word that, talking about yourself and how powerful you are and that you don't need stuff. But on tomorrow's podcast, we're going to talk about wealth accumulation. Is that, I just want to make sure I'm understanding that correctly, Ed, because that's embarrassing.
That's the other podcast. I'm not talking about your problems or your morning routine or any of that stuff, because you can't take any of that with you, although they matter.
What?
I'm talking about the things that really matter today. People. People matter, things don't. What can you leave here with you?
Okay, let me ask you guys a question. Specifically, if you are in the medical field and have any experience with this. First, let me read this comment. I don't know how to say that last name. Higher, I don't know. Power. It's the Chris Beats Cancer guy. Said the same thing. He said that JLW told him that the doctor that gave her the last report that was so good was reading the wrong scans. I'm sorry. I don't believe that. I don't believe that either. I think I also saw a clip of him saying that the doctors were not giving her all of the information. I think I remember him saying something like that in his stories, because some of you sent me some of those screen recordings. I don't understand how somebody that has stage 4 colon cancer, meaning that it is metastasized, and she was in the amount of pain that she was, which is horrific. Having the fevers that she was, the resting heart rate of 122, not sleeping, symptoms of or having ascites. I don't understand how a doctor, then again, this is just my opinion. Obviously, I'm not a medical professional, but I don't understand how a doctor, an oncologist that specializes in treating cancer, would say, oh no, this is a great scan. I think she was hearing what she wanted to hear. And that's really sad, because all of this that she told us, that she showed us, did not feel like something, and now we know that it wasn't, did not feel like something that somebody was healing from cancer would be experiencing necessarily.
And what do you want to leave here? And those final moments for you someday, and you don't know when it's coming. Do you think Jessie Lee this time last year, when she said, please be my coach, thought in 1 year I won't be here? I remember when she was in the hospital and she says, Ed, they've told me I won't make it to October. I'm not going to make it to October. She said that on the podcast, that they had told her that. That was impossible to comprehend. And we have this thing where we think everybody else is going to die. We're not.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But someday, I don't know when it is for you or me. It could be in a week, a month, a year, 30 years. But I know time's running out on me. I know time's running out on you. I know you're here for a flicker. I know in my case, man, yesterday I was turning 16, hoping to be able to drive. Just yesterday I graduated college. Just yesterday I got married. Just yesterday my first baby was born. Now I wake up and both my kids are out of the house. I wake up, I'm 52 years old, like a flicker, like a blink. Like a blink. Time's running out on me. I don't care if you're 18 years old, time's running out on you.
Snapping people back into working, and the majority of his audience, I feel like, is in multi-level marketing. Him using Jessie Lee's story and her journey with losing her life to cancer, unfortunately, is not a tool, in my opinion, to be used to snap people back into working. Because I feel like that's what this portion is all about. You know, him saying, listen, you only have a little bit of time here. What are you going to spend your time on? Because if anybody that's critically thinking, that is part of the 99.7% of people that lose money or don't make any at all, according to the FTC, if they were critically thinking about it and looking at it the way that he is talking here, they wouldn't be spending their time, energy, and money on multi-level marketing, because that wouldn't matter. So it's interesting that he's trying to use this as a way, in my opinion, to get people to snap back into, working, while also telling them finances you can't take with you, stuff you can't take with you.
Who do you want to be when you have 2 more days?
Do we want to take a break? We only have, I don't know, maybe 12 minutes or so, 14 minutes. Yeah, this is definitely fear-mongering. I agree with you, Desiree. This is fear-mongering BS. I don't care if you're 18, time is running out on you. That's gross. Yeah. Yeah, I just want to ask him, why are you mad, bro? Probably because he gave wrong advice to Jessie Lee, in my opinion. I think this is an important thing to talk about. Because if you look at the time frame of hang on, I need to parent one moment, please.
Where's my soccer stuff?
I think your shin guards are on the table.
Where?
On the black table.
No, I looked there.
Okay, wait, where's Dad?
I don't know.
Okay, can you go find Dad? Because I'm live streaming right now. And he's going to take you to practice anyways. And your shirt's on backwards, FYI. Okay, we'll fix it. There's the break. Parenting break. I think this is an important comment to talk about. Pam says, when I got my scans, they're brought up on the computer. I get to look at them too. They're never not mine and never sugar-coated. Oncologist is nice but firm. Thank you for sharing that with us. The fact that she was so in denial and making others believe that that same toxic positive mentality made this even more of a shock, and it's already devastating. Yeah. I would grab Luna, but I don't know where she's at. I think she's in her cabinet. She has this little cabinet, and there's an old yoga mat in there, and she opens the cabinet with her little paw, goes in the cabinet and lays in this little cabinet over here on the yoga mat in the dark. She's like, I'm done with people. I just want my own space. So I would show you her, but that's where she's at right now, I'm pretty sure. Oh, yeah. Also, it's not lost until mom can't find it. And I know if I were to get up right now and go out there and look, the shin guards would be on the black table. Oh, there she is. She's coming out of the cabinet. This is Brandy. I need to know, what does the rest of your shirt say? It says, let's get smashed, and it's a pumpkin on it. Let's get what? What do you need? Brandy, you're amazing. Come here, mamas. I heard her come out of the cabinet. It's really funny. All right. Hey, Nikki. All right, let's keep going because we're almost done.
Days left. What do you want to have given, experienced, felt, the emotions, the memories, the contribution, the life force you put in other people, the legacy you leave, the difference you've made? What do you want to leave?
This is a very hard video, and that's why I gave the content warnings that I did at the beginning, because this is hard to talk about. This is, watching people try to financially capitalize off of Jessie Lee's death is really grimy. It's uncomfortable. I'm not a fan, and I can't help but think about her family. I can't help but think about how they must be feeling watching Jessie Lee's inner circle and some of the things that they're doing publicly and also behind the scenes. I just can't imagine how they must be feeling. And my heart goes out to them because, in my opinion, they're dealing with a commercial cult. What we're seeing is cult-like behavior. It's gross.
Leave here. Today's podcast is not about all the things you can't take with you. It's about the things you can leave here.
Okay, so the things that you can get while you're here, while you're alive within this physical form, that's tomorrow's podcast, but today's not about that. Got it.
The things that matter. You, your soul, your spirit, who you are as a man or a woman. I tell you all the time.
What about the non-binary folks? What about them? I don't know.
You were born to do something great with your life. God made you in his image and likeness to do something awesome with your life, regardless of what you believe religiously. That's not what this is about today. I believe.
Did he drop his phone number, like the generic text number where you can ask him questions? Oh my God. Oh, Ed, this is terrible. Also this. I mean, I feel like when I played the video and he got Jessie Lee's birth date wrong, I feel like that told us everything that we needed to know. I'm laughing because it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
In the quantum and energy and vibration like you can't get over. I also believe there's a heavenly Father that created all of this, that died for our sins. Whatever you believe, you believe. But what do you want to leave here? What's that life force? Because someday, by the way, maybe you've lost somebody. Maybe when you were a little boy or a little girl, that was the one coach or grandma or uncle or auntie or your mom or your dad or a teacher who just made you feel special. Picture their precious face right now.
Oh my God, the emotional manipulation and the fact that you have these like emotionally charged like stock videos or whatever. I don't know what to call those. Ugh.
Picture them. You know who I'm talking about?
Luna's here. I think this is a great, like, this is rough what he's talking about. So let's see Luna.
Here, come here.
She ran from me. Typical cat behavior. Come here. Now she's gonna, okay, fine. Now she's gonna stay over there and just stare at me like I'm a peasant, like cats do.
Let me tell you something. They were right. The rest of the world's been wrong about you. They were right. And you felt it when you were a little girl or a little boy. They made you feel that thing.
What?
They were right.
What
Prove them
thing?
right. If they're still here, show them. Make them proud of you. If they're gone like my dad is, like Jessie Lee is, honor them with who you're becoming, not who you.
I don't think people that have passed, I just don't think that they care about who the living are becoming. You know?
Used to be. You're not your past. You can't take your past with you when you leave here. You're not your mistakes, your sins, your failures, your setbacks. You're none of that crap. Quit hanging that stuff over your head. Quit using it as a weapon against you. Time's running out. Who gives a crap? Who cares who hurt you? Who cares the mistake you made? Who cares the thing?
Why is he so angry? Ed, why are you yelling? Do you need a moment? I mean, I'm concerned about the blood pressure and like everything popping out here. Are you okay?
Thing you're ashamed of. Who cares you haven't done it yet? Who cares? It's not going to matter in the end. It's not going to matter with 2 days left. It's not going to matter with 1 day left. It's not going to matter with 1 hour left. What's going to matter? Who's going to matter? And by the way, you matter.
What is happening?
Listen to this. Corinthians 5, verse 6 through 8. 2 Corinthians 5, verse 6 through 8. Listen to this. So we are always confident because we know that while we are living in the body, we are away from our home with the Lord. We're not our body. We live by faith and not by sight. We live by faith and not by sight. Right now, maybe you can't see a way out. Maybe right now you don't see a future. Maybe right now you don't see anything that's hopeful. We live by faith and not by sight. We are confident and we would prefer to leave the body to be home with the Lord. I've read this so many times to myself this last day because she's home. My dad's home. Someday you'll be home. Again, let me read it to you. So we are always confident because we know that while we are living in the body, we are away from our home with the Lord. We live by faith and not by sight. We are confident and we would prefer to leave the body and to be at home with the Lord. 2 Corinthians 5, 6 through 8.
This is giving Ray Higdon.
Home. And I'm going to keep reminding myself of that. She's home. But you and I are still here. What do we want to do with it? Who do we want to become? What do we want to see and feel and experience and give? And who matters? Start focusing on those who. If there's something you need to fix with someone, go fix it. Humble yourself and fix it. Time's running out.
Humble yourself? Ed, I think you need to take your own advice, my guy. Humble yourself. Oh my God.
Time's running out. Those are my thoughts today. Jessie Lee, I want to tell you I love you and I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you. You're home. I'm so happy.
You're so happy, but nothing in this video shows that you're happy. And also, how can you be happy when, in my opinion, you contributed to her passing faster? That's just my opinion. I'm not stating that as a fact, but the reason I'm saying that is because he told her when she was, and I said this earlier in the video, but on that podcast, he told her when she mentioned stepping back and slowing down a little bit and, you know, working on healing, he was like, no, you need to be bossy now, bigger and more than ever. And I feel like that is what pushed her into hyperdrive in a sense, or at least contributed to it. He wanted her to keep working. He wanted her to keep going. He wanted her, in my opinion, to keep paying him that $30,000 for coaching, because if she took a step back, she probably wasn't going to keep up with coaching. I mean, that's grimy. That's a different kind of grift, I feel like. Grifting off of somebody that's battling stage 4 cancer. I'm not saying Jessie Lee did things the right way. I spoke about that on the video with Eric Worre. I wish she would have used her platform to educate people. I wish she would have used her platform to do fundraisers instead of selling coaching, and did she sell lifetime members to people, or what about the people that paid annually and didn't get the full year? And why is the accelerator still going? Why are these people running this accelerator? I don't understand. It does not make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Things on the show, we both.
And I truly do. I truly hope that she has peace. I truly hope that the family can get to a place where they have peace. I truly hope that, I'm just going to leave it at that. I truly hope they find peace, honestly.
Shared in a moment that surprised both of us that all of our lives, we've worked so hard because we both grew up with some turmoil. All of our lives, we work so hard to change how we feel. Change just how we feel. I think I do that still. Probably you do too. And the beautiful thing about her being in heaven.
Yeah, I have questions. I have so many questions. Where's the money for the accelerator? Is that where is that? Who's benefiting? Who's paying for the penthouse if she didn't pay for like an annual thing? I have so many questions because things don't make sense to me as far as what's happening after her passing. It does not make sense. Where are the dogs? And why are certain members of her inner circle getting upset because people are asking about the dogs? I think that's a very fair thing to ask, considering Jessie Lee shared them so much in her stories, created an Instagram for the dogs. Where are the dogs? And why are people getting so upset about asking where the dogs are? The only thing that I can think of is there some sort of a battle over who should be getting the dogs? I don't know. But why else would there be this, all of a sudden they're not on social media anymore. Nobody's talking about it. And then there's people from Jessie Lee's inner circle that are now saying, oh, well, I'm going to block anybody that asks me about the dogs or whatnot. Why? Why is that such a hot button for them when Jessie Lee shared them so much online? I think that's a valid question for people to be asking. Where are the dogs? Does Avi have the dogs? Does Courtney have the dogs? What's going on? Because Wookie was having her own kind of health crises before Jessie Lee passed. I think she had something removed or something. Why are these things weird questions to be asking? That was a part of Jessie Lee's brand. And in my opinion, she really did love those dogs a lot. So why is that weird to be asking? I don't know. I just have questions.
She gets to feel all of it.
Also, why is Avi still living in the penthouse? Why?
But now, she didn't have to earn it. She didn't have to work for it. It's a gift promised for her. She's receiving in abundance right now. And you and I will someday too. It's cool to know that promise exists.
Oh,
There's this guy.
Also, now all of a sudden his IG is public. Yeah. And he's doing these. Oh, man. His stories are so odd. I don't know if it's because he didn't seem to be a public person, and now he's trying to be a public person. I'm wondering if he has a position and prove it. I'm wondering if people are being moved under him. This is just my opinion. I'm not stating any of this as fact. I'm wondering if there's going to be movement of her downline by Brian Underwood. These are all questions. Again, not stating any of this as fact. I'm wondering how long until Avi gets kicked out of that apartment, or if is he on the lease? I don't know. These are all just questions that I'm having, that I'm sure some of you are having, because we're all watching the same behavior and it doesn't make sense. I'm watching Courtney weave in a little shock marketing straight out of the Jessie Lee playbook, where she's talking about Jessie Lee's death and she's highlighting these gifts. And she's going live highlighting these gifts. Also, why is there a meal train for Courtney 2 weeks after Jessie Lee's passing? Is the same thing happening for Jessie Lee's parents and her siblings? Was there a meal train for them as well right after the passing? I don't know. Why 2 weeks after? Courtney has a husband that I would imagine Joshua would be supporting her in all of this. I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. And I have questions. And I think one of the questions that I see the most is what happens to her downline now. And it's going to depend on whatever the will says. If there is a will, I don't know. And who she left all of that to, which again, I have no idea. So typically when somebody passes, they have a will, and somebody that was the rank that Jessie Lee was probably had one of her LLCs, had prove it as one of her LLCs, which means that LLC would be left to whoever the beneficiary would be on her will. But again, I don't know if she had one. I have no idea. So I don't know. But that's typically what happens. It's left to somebody, and then they collect the money from it, as long as there's money coming in or whatnot. So yeah, that's typically how that happens. I'm very concerned for Courtney. I'm very, very, very concerned for Courtney and the continuing to go, and just, it feels erratic to me. And again, this is just my opinion, and this is not me. I'm not judging her. I'm very concerned. And I know a lot of you are too, because some of you have messaged me. It's just very, very concerning.
Odd Nigro, he has this quote I've been feeding to myself too. Drinking from the waters of sorrow sustains a different kind of life. This
I know I'm pausing this already, but I saw this. Yes, Jessie Lee's upline is Lisa Grossman. And I do believe it was Lisa Grossman that texted Eric and told him to come, judging from what Courtney said, putting some pieces together as a theory. Just again, I'm not stating it as a fact, but I do think that it was Lisa Grossman that texted Eric and said, you know, you should get here. And of course, he showed up in all of his Eric Worry, whatever the name of his company is, not Network Marketing Pro. It was like Eric Worry something. Yeah. Showed up in all branded stuff on his private jet. Ugh. Ugh. Just gross.
river is hidden from the rest of the world. Tears drop off my chin into an endless flow of liquid love that sparkles with beauty. I
What?
remind myself as I cry, missing her or my dad, that it's a sign of love. And I just want to tell you all today, if I haven't recently, that I love you. You're my brother. You're my brother. You're my sister.
No, I'm not.
I want you to live an amazing life.
Thank you.
I want you in those final last 2 days and that final day to be proud of you, to have left it all here, to have been clear about what really matters and who really matters.
And it's not an MLM.
And then at
I'll tell
the
you
same
that much.
time, I want you to climb the mountain, because part of those experiences is achieving your dreams. Part of your calling is to reach your goals, because when you reach those goals, you can help more people in ways that you can't even imagine.
Oh my
So-
God, he's pitching this for people to work their business and climb the mountain so that they can help more people. Because, you know, it's the people business. Oh my God. I have the perfect sound effect.
Why are you the way that you are?
Yeah. Why are you the way that you are, Ed? This video is foul.
All of that is part of your destiny, but don't get lost in the things you can't take with you and lose the things that you could leave here. All right, everybody. I wanted to share my thoughts with you in real time. I'm very proud of myself for finally getting through this without.
I bet you are proud of yourself. That's so foul. Ugh.
Without getting upset. And
It's okay to be upset.
I'll be here every week for you. God bless you.
No, I'm done with that. Are y'all okay? Because that was a lot. I have to turn my ring light down. Hold on one second. Oh, this is too bright. Oh, God. Okay, are y'all good? Because that was a whole heck of a lot of spiritual manipulation, emotional manipulation. That was a lot. That was a lot to process. Yeah, I find it very strange that he's comparing this woman who he has known for at most of a few years to his father. He's really trying to over exaggerate his relationship with Jessie to make people care more. That's one thing that I feel like I've seen from a lot of people that have claimed to know her after her passing. It's like, who knew her the best? And it's so weird. It doesn't matter. Like Jessie Lee, I feel like the amount of information that she shared online, she made people feel like a lot of like they knew her, you know? And so she's no longer here. And so it doesn't matter who knew her best. It doesn't matter. And Jessie Lee probably doesn't care about that either, I would imagine. I don't know. Very odd. More slime than a Ghostbusters movie. Indeed. Indeed, K. Marie. That's valid. Yeah. Yeah. Also, Jesus, I don't believe would be in favor of MLMs. Yeah. It's a competition to be her BFF for attention. It's so odd, you guys. The grief Olympics. Hey, Lushy, what's up? The grief Olympics is weird. Yeah. Yeah. And I hope that Jessie Lee is peaceful. You know, I hope that she's found peace. Obviously, she's not in pain anymore, and I'm grateful for that, because for me, that was one of the hardest parts of all of this, is watching her be in so much pain. And I just had so many questions where people, you know, hey, maybe you should make a doctor's appointment. Maybe you should call the doctor. Maybe you should call the oncologist. Maybe this amount of pain doesn't seem normal. So maybe we should, and maybe people did. I don't know. But that part for me was really hard, watching her decline, in my opinion. And then also just watching her in pain was really hard, you know? So it's complicated, right? All of this is so complicated. And my hope is that people will now educate themselves, not just on MLMs, but also on commercial cults and high control groups, along with colon cancer education, screening, health screenings in general, those types of things. That is my hope in all of this, that people don't take her advice, because I'm worried that more people will pass away from listening to it. That's my fear. So, the sad part is, if people did recommend her to do things, she would block them. Yeah, there were so many people, cancer patients, people in remission, that said, hey, I did chemo, you know, please consider this, or maybe you can ask these questions. There were a lot of people that were begging her to ask more questions, and you're right, she blocked them. She would block them. And yeah, I'm good. I have my moments, of course. I think that that's being human. And I don't want more people to pass away from listening to advice that goes against their oncologist. That's my biggest fear. So one moment, I'm parenting.
Are you going to be able to take us or take Gigi?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Deb has Gavin's soccer practice.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Parenting. Yeah. Gotta love it. Oh, yeah. I think all of us want to know the answer to the questions, you know, that I said a few minutes ago, but yeah. I saw somebody say, "Oh, there hasn't been any videos on Courtney," and I'll just speak for myself on this in that there are things that I definitely want to cover. There's videos of hers that I definitely want to cover. Because I think that there's some very problematic and alarming things in it. Hey, Tish. Oh no, I hope you feel better. I just wasn't comfortable yet covering it. I mean, I needed to take a second and process how I was feeling, but I will tell you that I do plan on covering some of those, hopefully soon, but I'm not going to rush it. I think that it's a perfect example of what did you call it, Lushy? The grief Olympics, and this competitive who knew Jessie Lee best thing that we see going on. And I think that there's important things that we need to talk about. And we're going to talk about it. Not today, but hopefully soon. So, yeah, I appreciate you guys so much. And none of this is easy. You guys watching this content, me reacting to the content, other creators reacting to the content. None of this is easy. And also, if you would like to watch a Courtney video, Tish, aka Echo Echo, just put a video out, I think last week, and it took me some time to get through it because bits and pieces, but in my opinion, it was very well done. So that's definitely a video if you're wanting to dive into that, if you feel ready or you're just kind of curious or whatever, I would definitely check out her video that she did. Yeah, because she's grieving the loss of her best friend and anger is a phase of that. Yep, I get that. So thank you guys so much for being here. If you have not already liked the video, if you would do that, that would be incredible. And the proceeds, again, from this video, from the AdSense on this video, which is what I get from ads being run on this video, I will be donating to the Colon Cancer Coalition. I have linked information below. If you are in a place where you feel and you're willing to donate, you can click on the donate button that you should see below, and it goes right to the Colon Cancer Coalition. They have a ton of resources. They have a ton of information. They do have different events. I know they had 2 events this past week. I haven't looked to see what upcoming events that they have, but they have a lot of resources for people. And I think that out of all of this, I really hope that people educate themselves on how to get screened and all of that stuff. So if you would like to financially contribute, if you are in a place that you can do that, just click the donate button. Otherwise, just watching, commenting, liking, even you thumbs downers. Yep, I see you. And I know who some of you are, and that's okay. Your feelings are valid. Yeah. I will be donating all of the AdSense from this video and the Eric Worre video to the Colon Cancer Coalition. So this was a rough one. I hope you guys are good. I appreciate you being here, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye, everybody.